People always complain about wanting new ideas for movies and TV, but when it comes time to support originality, most of the people with the loudest voices don't show appreciation to the piece of media. I was scrolling through HBO Max a few years ago and stumbled upon a new movie I had never heard of before. Saw the title and description and was interested. I never saw a commercial or heard someone talk about it before, so I went in basically blind. And when the movie finished, I was left in awe of what I saw. An indie movie that for me just spawned out of nowhere, brought me to tears, and gave me a new addition to my music rotation. Not only that, but the story was great, the art was beautiful, and the animation was as smooth as butter. The comedy was the best part about it, right next to pulling at your heartstrings. This movie was a gem that more people needed to hear about. I went around telling my friends about it and made one watch it, and made him a fan too. Ron's Gone Wrong from Locksmith Animation released in 2021 and is the most underrated movie of all time. And underrated is an understatement. Welcome to my media center. My name is Kiefer, and allow me to tell you about Ron's Gone Wrong. Now, when I discuss media, even pieces that I love, I remain unbiased. While I love this movie, upon rewatch, I will be 100% honest. With that being said, we open with a beautiful shot introducing us off-rip to the idea of this movie. A gorgeous world surrounds mega tech Apple stand-in, Bubble. At Bubble HQ, they are unveiling a brand new piece of tech. A crowd full of people are shuffling inside, and a voice can be heard, and I'm going to quote him here. Have you ever felt completely alone? Standing on the edge of things, so awkward, not daring to approach anyone. What if you have one perfect friend who thinks you're awesome, who can help you find friends and make it all easy? The man saying that's name is Mark. He was practicing his speech for the presentation, and on stage, he nails it. The crowd chants his name. And off to the side of him is a man who must remind everyone his company Bubble started in his garage. Andrew is his name. Bubble's new tech is a launch into the new world. Not phones, watches, or tablets. It's of connection and his algorithm of friendship. Mark's code, that is. He introduces the future of friendship, the BubbleBot. On the giant screen behind the stage, a random audience member is selected to join them on stage. A kid named Ellie is chosen. Mark goes to her Bubble profile and gives Ellie a gift, the world's first Bee-Bot. It gets delivered on stage by a drone, and Ellie presses her hand on the case to open it. Mark uploads her profile onto the Bee-Bot and installs friendship. It takes the appearance of Danger Bunny, the main character of her favorite show. The Bee-Bot has infinite possible downloadable skins, even ones of things that you and I may very well know, such as Captain Marvel. The Bee-Bot can play music and dance with you, has incredible safety controls, a 360-degree projection that can make you look like you're anywhere in the whole universe. It can take photos and has a constant connection to the Bubble network. The Bee-Bot is designed to find you new friends, so it rolls in the crowd and finds her 2 new friends based on her interests on her profile. The Bee-Bot is your best friend out of the box. And then we hear the song that entered my rotation and is still stuck in my head years later. New Friends by Henry Jackman. I would just randomly burst out into a song with the words, "All my friends, I'm here waiting for ya." There's a reason I don't sing. I just dig it so much. We also get some sick transition of kids placing their hands on the Bee-Bot's case. And the last hand we see is the hand of the main character of this movie, Barney. Barney, voiced by Jack Dylan Grazer, known for playing Eddie in the It reboot and Freddie Freeman in Shazam. He has a safety vest and snacks packed, double checked by his grin, who we'll get to know more later. He hops on a scooter and rides it down to school on the way, seeing kids having a blast using their Bee-Bots. He also passes a Bubble store and gets too distracted, nearly getting hit by a Bubble delivery car. Take a shot every time I say Bubble. When the driver gets out, we see the sudden stop he made a Bee-Bot fall out of the back and damaging it. Barney continues his ride, seeing just about everyone at school playing with their Bee-Bots. We see more familiar faces like Darth Vader and Stormtrooper skins, also Iron Man, Black Panther, and I think the Luchador Funko Iron Man and Hulk. I actually have that entire Funko collection. It's way too overhated. That's off topic, but you know. Back to the topic at hand, Barney walks into school seeing more people using their Bee-Bots to share, like, add friendship, help kids cross the street safely, and teach others about volcanoes. Barney enters the hallway and sees 3 kids hiding behind and on top of a vending machine and a girl named Savannah live streaming through her Bee-Bot. The boy on top of the machine wearing a zombie mask tries to scare her, but he falls off the machine, breaking a clock and face planting. Savannah says it's lame, and we learn the boy's name is Rich. He uploads the attempted prank onto his channel. Barney reaches a locker, and when he opens it, a kid bursts out of the class next to his locker with his B-Bot and attacks another kid in his B-Bot in a game we've seen be played throughout the movie in the background. This scares the hell out of Barney. He screams and instinctually puts his backpack in front of his face to protect himself, and in doing so, a bunch of papers fall out of his bag all over the floor. This draws the attention of every single one around him, and they're just staring at him. He awkwardly chuckles, says nothing to see here, and he goes to pick up the papers. The popular girl from earlier, Savannah, sees the papers were birthday party invitations. She mentions that he still hasn't gotten a B-Bot, which brings Barney's mood down, and he picks up one of the snacks I mentioned earlier. The snack being chicken's foot. He tries to make a joke out of it, but then it just makes the tension even more awkward. He apologizes for being Savannah's shot, the laugh she mentioned earlier. So she uses a filter to just remove him and she walks away, signing off her stream, and that's when we see a shot of the B-Bot wall. The bots are so popular in this school, they have a designated spot for every single kid's B-Bot. That's where they go during learning hours. Every single spot is filled except for one, Barney's. He sighs sadly, and then we get the title card. But there's no time to be sad, Barney. It's recess time. Please laugh. During recess, we're going to see a lot of things to discuss here, by the way. Savannah and another group from earlier who was talking about volcanoes walks out, B-Bots with them, and it comes up on their screens, no match. Which it seems like they were actually about to talk to each other until their B-Bots told them they aren't compatible, so they just sigh and walk away. Barney is the last out and says it'll be 18 minutes of recess hell. He looks out, seeing everyone having an absolute blast with their B-Bots, and decides to walk back inside. Which is now where I want to bring up a big question I have. These B-Bots are revolutionary technology. A brand new product from a seemingly the #1 tech company around, Bubble, and every kid has one. Every single kid. Minus Barney, of course. So how much do these damn things cost? I did digging for a while, and they seem to have not named a price anywhere. These things have to be crazy expensive, but with every kid having one, their hands are either loaded as fuck, or these things are just wildly affordable. Back to the movie though, when Barney tries to go inside, we see a woman confront him. She points out he's all alone again on his birthday, which Barney doesn't know how she knows about it to begin with. But it turns out his grandmother called the school to tell them, which, who the fuck does that? He tries to make the excuse he forgot his backup inhaler, but she doesn't buy it. We go to a shot of the buddy bench, a bench on the side of the playground. You can see the design on screen, and yeah, if I was made to sit there, I'd bring a surprise mouse to the school the next day. The woman, who I'm gonna say is a teacher I think, then hugs Barney so people will laugh and make fun of him. She tells him when a buddy comes up, discuss a hobby, and bring up he wrote an essay on rock collecting. Miss Thomas, we learn is her name, then walks over telling kids to go talk to Barney. He needs friends, it's his birthday. So kids walk over awkwardly and attempt to talk to him about rocks, which he pretends to not like. And Rich, with his two goons, bully him the rest of the day with rock-based puns. And about the fact that he doesn't have a B-Bot. After school, he rides home on a scooter where he gets ambushed by a goat trying to eat his backpack. When he walks in, we get introduced to his father, who runs Podesky Novelty Exports. He has a home office with a not great setup, but man, we've all been there with these setups. Mine's still not good, but use what you got, man. He asks Barney how his day was, and Barney lies, saying it was fine. His grandmother then calls him to the kitchen, singing happy birthday to him, and he makes his dad join in, but he's still working while he does it. His grandma knitted him a ski mask made from their own goat wool, and his dad got him a kid's geologist rock hammer set. Rocks not included. Thing is, he says he used to be into rocks, and turns out goats make his allergy act up. His grand says it's nonsense. No one in his family has allergies. Even though Uncle Boris was allergic to nuts, Barney's dad points out, but Gran says it was a demon possessing the nut. She then reveals all the cooking she's done and asks when Barney's friends are gonna come over. So at this point, it should be clear his family doesn't pay much attention to him, at least not as much as they should on more of a personal level. With his grandmother not believing in allergies and keeping goats around being bad for Barney's health, especially being evidence for that. Back to the movie, his grand brings up his last birthday party they had when he was 6, and we see 4 familiar faces behind Barney, which I will bring up later, but they're there playing games like Throw the Knives at the Dictator and Penny Needle and Goat's Ass, and memories like their house catching fire. The party did not seem like a fun time. Well, it kinda did, but still. Barney says no one's coming to the party, which then his dad brings up concerns about Barney's social life, and when Barney mentions B-Bots being a better way to socialize, his dad says he doesn't want Barney addicted to a device. And when he says so, his dad gets alerted on his phone, and then he just proceeds to ignore his child. So he's a massive hypocrite. Grandma says it's a craze and they cost a fortune, so they do cost a lot. Still no exact price though. Barney, dejected, says it's a waste of money. But when the doorbell rings and a voice says bubble delivery, Barney excitedly runs out of the front door unwrapping the Bebop-shaped gift. He says his dad wouldn't just give him rock hammers, but the gift is a rock. 3 Bebots come out of nowhere singing "We Will Rock You." It was a prank from Rich, and he was recording for his channel. Gran chases them away, and his dad asks him what's going on, and Barney says nuts, nothing. And he thanks him for the rock hammers. We cut to his dad and Gran driving to the bubble store. His dad says if his mom was alive, she'd known he wanted a Bebot. They nearly crash getting to the store, so it runs in the family. But alas, it is closed, and they won't get any Bebot in for months. It's a pre-order only, which Donka, which is the Gran's name, offers up a goat for a Bebot and then calls them a Stalinist Russia. Barney's dad sees a bubble delivery truck and the beat-up Bebot from earlier in the movie, and the next morning, it's sitting in Barney's room. The next morning, Barney, Gran, and his dad hug and kiss, and then Barney puts his hand on the case to scan. But it doesn't work right. He has to pry the case open, and then when the Bebot is out, it's at 5% stalling friendship. It then drops to 4%, then all of a sudden, it comes to life, but very slowly and poorly sounding. It has one eye on the bottom of its body and doesn't know Barney's name. It has trouble talking and can't connect to the bubble network. He lists off names for Barney to choose from, and he accidentally selects Absalom. Barney's still rushing to get ready for school and tells his Bebot to download the rest of the programming, but he still can't connect to the bubble network. He tells the bot to follow him to school, but he can't seem to roll in a straight line and knocks into everything. And then as soon as it gets on the road, it gets run over by a truck. He doesn't have traffic sensors, nor does he know what a truck is. He only knows things that starts with the letter A. Also, he has to charge inside because the solar charging is, of course, broken. Barney says he's supposed to know everything about him and tells his Bebot to stay in his room and learn things about him. At school, Barney sees kids enjoying their Bebots, playing games, but he also sees something happening that isn't too fun. Samantha is alive when she makes a snide remark about people who like science, while Ava, the leader of the science squad group, is walking right by. And one of the people that were in the science group were in Savannah's live stream and then all of a sudden unfollow the science group. They were one of only 3 members. Barney sees this and says he can follow Ava and that his Bebot is at home, it's just downloading his profile. Ava says okay, and Barney's in high spirits for once. When he gets home, his dad is failing to sell more novelty items and it's back in his room, and holy fuck, it's chaos. He hears banging coming from downstairs, and he finds his Gran dancing with his Bebot. It's wearing a hat and his underwear, which is burnt. Barney questions his room, which the Bebot says he learned about him. His underwear combusts at 232 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 degrees below the melting point of his inhalers. He declares himself Absalom's best friend out of the box, but Barney is pissed. He even ripped his stuffed bunny's head off, which took 7.6 newtons of force. He even learned that Gran is anti-communist and weighs about 360 pounds. When the Bebot picks up a hatchet and nearly throws it through Gran's head, Gran suggests turning it off and back on again, maybe it'll work right. Gran says she can fix it because she once cured her own hernia with a bread knife and vodka. Barney protests, but Gran is offended at the thought of taking it back to the store, and then puts a knitted beanie on his head, and telling Barney to take it outside and have fun. Barney tapes up the bot in its case and carries it outside when it breaks out singing the song from earlier. Barney explains that he's taking him back to the bubble store and explains that friendship is a two-way street and he gets to pick who he's friends with and who he doesn't choose. He goes to cut through the playground where he finds the 3 bullies from earlier. He tells his Bebot to stay there, but he charges into the playground, dancing. Rich grabs the bot and makes fun of it when Barney asks for him to put it back down. Rich puts it down and tells him to take it. Barney walks over, but Rich attempts to bully him into humiliating himself for Rich's channel before he can get it back. The Bebot makes things worse by complying, but Rich gets annoyed at the bot for singing and slaps it. In response, the bot slaps him back. The two get into a shoving match, which the Bebot wins by a landslide. And Rich throws the bot, which he thinks breaks it, but it doesn't. He terrifies the 3, which is caught on live stream, and the police get called. Barney and his bot run away laughing before they got in trouble. The Bebot reveals that it has absolutely 0 safety rules because they were never installed. A policeman pulls up when the bot rolls into the street and says, "Put your hands where I can see them," so the bot throws them in his face. We're at the bubble store now, and the bot is out of control. Gran accidentally reveals that she spent her funeral money to buy it from the man in an alley, which, let's do some research here. This movie takes place in California, where the median cost of a funeral there is $7,225, which is wild to me, but also we know his family isn't well off and the bot was illegally obtained. So I'm sure it wasn't several $1000s, but it does give a very rough estimate to how much one does cost. About the size of one small Californian funeral. Anyway, the cop insists that the Bebot be taken to the crusher and Barney protests. He sneaks into the back to save the Bebot from being crushed even though they both almost die, which how he snuck back makes no sense, but he does, and he gets spotted by an employee. After a cool escape scene, Barney says he wants the Bebot to be his friend and he tells the bot his name. So the Bebot does the same. His name is Ron B1NT5CAT5CO. Ron for short. And I guess for long is Ron Bin Katsko. At Bubble HQ, they celebrate 100 million Bebots sold. Mark, the young designer, is celebrating 100 million new friends helping kids meet each other. Andrew says making friends face-to-face was so 3 millennia ago. And states the fact, kids check with their Bebot sometimes 100 times a day and 11 times overnight. And Andrew celebrates the fact that they are ending sleep. They were talking to reporters and then one asked about the Bebot that punched a child. The two were flabbergasted. Andrew says he can't live with himself if a kid got injured because it would tank the share price. Back at Barney's home, he creates a poster board to help teach Ron how to be his friend. Barney lays it out like this. Ron has to know everything about him, like the same stuff as him, and be on his side. He showed Ron where school is and lists his interests, which include rocks, chess, Pac-Man, and buttered toast. Barney dislikes possums, musicals, school, the buddy bench, and worms. Ron must stay within 6 feet, and basically he's allergic to life, which is why he likes rocks. And Ron says that's tragic. The whole time, he's been teaching Ron in a shed in his backyard because everyone thinks Ron was destroyed and no one can know about this. At the end, the bulletin board is full of note cards, red yarn, and post-it notes. Later, the two are debating electricity and rocks, which is better. I'm on Ron's side with electricity. Barney also discusses his mom's passing when he was 2, and it doesn't really upset him because he can't remember her. But he knows it was rough on his dad, and that's why they moved them here. The two are getting along amazingly, but Barney accidentally pushes Ron down a large hill into Savannah's pool. Savannah is getting her live stream sub, and just as she starts, Ron crashes through her fence into the pool, causing lights to flicker and scaring the hell out of Savannah and her friend. Barney dives in after Ron, and Savannah complains that they ruined her aesthetic, which Barney apologizes for. Savannah then questions him about the Bebot and tries to friend him, but she can't do that. Savannah's a total bitch about this and then claims Barney's weirdness rubbed off on Ron. He says if Ron can't make friends, then he's pointless. Savannah's Bebot then says #landful. Her bitchiness rubbed off onto the bot. Savannah explains making friends to Ron, and Barney begs them not to share the fact that he has a Bebot and goes home defeated. In his room, Barney and Ron talk and kind of bond over the fact that neither of them can make friends. Also, we learn that Barney is scared of the dark. Due to Savannah livestreaming the pool fiasco, Bubble now knows the Bebot's alive and well in its general proximity. Andrew also demands to use people's private data when Mark walks in, declaring it awesome. They're having fun and laughing, which Mark never programmed, and he wants to know how Barney did it. He wants to get a hold of it, and so does Andrew, but for different reasons. Barney goes to school, leaving Ron to hide in the shed, and a bubble car drives by when Ron pops out, declaring there are no friends in the shed. Ron goes all around town with a megaphone, trying to find Barney friends. He brings on his baby photos and buttered toast. He slaps post-it notes with hearts drawn onto them onto people and posters of his face on everything, asking people to be Barney's friend. While Barney's in class, he sees Ron rolling through the hallway, and he gets out of class to confront him. The recess bell rings, and it's kind of going well actually. Ron then reveals he brought random people from the street to the buddy bench. Allow me to introduce Shane, who likes well-priced alcohol and conspiracy theories, who wants to crash at Barney's shed. There's a man who was on cocaine. No, I'm not joking. Miss Baxter and her parrot, which is Barney's neighbor, and friend number 5, a random baby Ron took out of a stroller. Barney's taken to the principal's office, and Rich takes Ron, seeing it has 0 safety features on it, and his Bebot takes the code and shares it with everyone's. Inside, Barney finds out Bubble got to Savannah using her as a way to find Barney, but she's too caught up and likes to see it. Outside of recess, it is utter chaos, revealing Bubble Pay can be exploited, and a giant kaiju of Bebots is being made, and Savannah now has access to the whole planet user base of Bubble. Her live stream numbers are in the 100,000s, which Mark and Andrew are watching, and now her stream is being watched by several millions. The kaiju monster destroys the building and then eats and poops out Savannah. The clip goes absolutely viral. When Mark gets a patch out, it's too late. The world just saw Bebots terrorize the school, and Andrew says Mark just killed Bubble. Barney's been kicked out of school, and Bubble's on the way to search for Ron. Barney yells at Ron for getting him in trouble, and Ron asks if Barney is his friend and uses Barney's own words, saying friendship is a two-way street, and Ron rolls away. Bubble shares are down 43%, and the issue is trending in 13 different countries. Parents calling, complaining that the HQ is in a panic. Andrew says, hose down the internet, says it's Rogue's fault with a minor coding error, delete every video and buy post stations reporting on the issue and sue kids for misuse if they don't sign an NDA. Bo gets Barney's address and goes to talk to his parents, but he goes to the shed and he sees Ron taped himself up into a case and is trying to return himself. Barney apologizes and calls Ron his best friend out of the box and redos the board from earlier to include both of them. Barney and Ron then run away. A Bubble employee and his dad find the garage without Barney, and when an employee spots him, they back it on a scooter. They go to Savannah's backyard to hide, only to see her crying. #PoopGirl is trending with 19 million likes. She spots them, and then the number reaches 20 million. She sees for once what it's like to be the butt of a joke. Get it? Because you got pooped out of the butt? Moving on. Barney begs her not to snitch again about him running away, and then they go off into the woods. Back at Bubble HQ, Andrew says to access the cameras of everyone in town. It says it's just for, training and safety monitoring purposes. He also turns on the mics to find Barney. Barney and Ron are running, hiding through the forest, having a blast, and man, this is where I'd like to mention the visuals again. This movie is gorgeous. Ron's Gone Wrong is one of my favorite art styles from any media I have ever seen. The characters look so good and unique, the backgrounds look like paintings. This studio deserves so much praise for the exceptional designs and art. Back to Barney and Ron in the forest, the two get up to shenanigans playing in the woods when they come across a fork in the path. Ron falls into a lake and Barney jumps in after him. Later the two sit on a wooden structure, I think like a firewatch tower is what it's called, and they talk about Barney's 6th birthday party. He says Rich and Savannah were there, and he says they're gonna live in the woods forever. He asks Ron to tell him a story, and he does. The two sleep in the tower for the night. Bubble is spying on its users. We hear a bunch of people talking shit about Savannah and her being dropped by friends and booted from group chats. Someone even made a song remix of the Poop Girl video, which has 23 million friends likes. There's a ring at the door and Savannah opens it, seeing Barney's gran and dad. They ask about Barney and Savannah just doesn't really say anything. Barney the next day wakes up dirty and cold with bird poop on his face, which was foreshadowed earlier in the movie. And at school, now the Bebots are under strict supervision, and the kids' recess have given 20 more minutes of extra math. No one is talking to Rich anymore. His two friends have blocked him. Savannah or Bebot, when she hid from the school, confront Rich, saying he ruined her life by making her Poop Girl. But she came to Rich to talk about Barney. She says he's missing in the woods and he and herself are the ones to blame. Barney is trying to make a fire, but everything is wet and Ron only has 12% power left. They use his underwear to start a fire, but Ron is dying, only with a 5% battery, so Barney makes him power down for the night. But he's afraid of the dark. He reveals it's because his mom died, and he became afraid of the dark that night. And now, not only is it dark, he's alone in the woods. Andrew learns of Barney's whereabouts due to the mics turned on for the Bebots, and he decides since the woods have no cameras, which by the way he was shocked to learn, he will send in his own army of Bebots. Mark, however, decides to go look for himself. He really wants to meet Barney and Ron. When Barney sees lights in the distance, he quickly calls for help, but sees it's an army of Bubblebots, using their scanners to find them. And on one camera they do, but only Andrew sees it. But when he does, an employee points out how easily it is for a boy to die alone in the woods, and Andrew sees Barney in pain, lying on the floor, because he just fell off a smallish cliff, and he decides to leave Barney for dead. He covers the screen and says call off the search. Andrew would rather leave a kid die in the woods than lose money. The army of Bebots is revealed to be those of the kids in town, and when Ron hears Barney struggling to breathe, and his inhaler almost out, talking about how he thinks he's gonna die, Ron, with 5% battery, does the impossible. He puts Barney on his back and wheels him towards the school, saving his best friend's life. Despite Barney's protest because he doesn't want to lose Ron, Savannah sees Barney, and her, Rich, Ava, and Noah rush over to help Barney, but Barney apologizes for being an inconvenience, seeing he knows they aren't his friends. Paramedics, Mark and his dad and Grant show up, and when Andrew demands they take the bot, the kids won't let them. They explain it saved his life, and when Andrew sees the bot trending, calling it a hero, Andrew takes advantage of the good press to drive sales. At the hospital, Barney is in bed with his gran and dad to decide. The 4 kids are in their waiting room with their Bebots, and they talk about how they've grown apart over the years. And when Savannah says Rich's pranks are lame, Rich says, if I don't got funny, I got nothing. They ask why they grew apart and when things changed. Barney starts to come to, and his dad apologizes for being absent and tells him how much his son means to him and how much he loves him. Barney wants to know where Ron is, and that's when Mark comes in and says he fixed Ron. Ron is down like he should have been out of the box, and Barney is upset. He says he wants the old Ron back, and when Mark tries to get him from the cloud, it shows that Mark has been kicked out by Andrew and the shareholders. Andrew is now the CEO of Bubble. Barney jumps out of bed and demands Mark take him there. Mark says it's in a concrete fortress under Bubble, but Barney's determined. Barney demands to be taken there and get his friend back. It's time for a break-in. Andrew's giving a presentation, so while that's going on, Gren walks in pretending to be a cleaner, and Barney's dad brings in his garbage laptop. While that's going on, Andrew is blaming kids, not looking at screens enough for the Bebots' attack at the school, and Barney's dad shuts down the power to the building. Grant snuck in Ron, Mark, and Barney, and the goat into the building, and they make it to the server room. The goat bites the wires, causing everything to freak out in the building, and Andrew finds out the Podolskis are in the building. Mark says he got security covered, and Barney and Ron make his way to the elevator, which is majorly malfunctioning. He nearly dies a few times, but he gets into the cloud room, and there are tens of millions of backup data. Andrew powers down the cloud and sends in security. Barney reaches a giant computer and sees that the Bebots have been spying on kids, and the power goes out. The room is pitch black, and he thinks of a plan. If he can't find Ron, maybe Ron can find him. Ron's cloud chip starts glowing in the dark, and Barney gets him. Mark turns on the power to the supercomputer, and Barney plugs in the chip. Ron is back. Mark sees the algorithm that Ron has, and it's the board that Barney and him made. When Barney says we have to get out of here, Ron sees how bad of a time people are actually having with their Bebots. Faking their lives for social media, endless time playing the same game over and over again, getting 0 views on their videos, being bullied by everyone. Relatable. Barney jokes that only if they could have a Ron, and, well, Ron has a plan. He wants to be connected to the Bubble Network. He wants to upload his code to everyone. Mark realizes his code combined with Ron's will make the perfect code. Barney now realizes what this means. Barney stops the uploading, and Barney wants to go home with Ron. When Ron says Barney taught him how to be a friend, and he wants to give everyone a good friendship, not just him and Barney. Barney gives Ron one last hug, and Ron gives Barney the sticker, best friend out of the box. And Ron gets uploaded to every single Bebot in the world. Security finally gets in the room, and Barney leaves on his own accord. Barney meets back up with his family, and Andrew goes back on stage. But Mark caught him on camera admitting to everything: spying, hating kids, data harvesting, and Andrew appoints Mark to CEO again. We got to 3 months later, and everyone is having fun with their Bebots, more fun than ever before. Barney's okay without Ron because he has his new friends now, the 4 that helped save his life. Barney doesn't want anyone to know what happened, and he doesn't want to be famous or be known for what he and Ron did. Ron will always be around, just no longer one Bebot, but the bot that made everyone's lives better for being in them, just like this movie did for my life. Ron's Gone Wrong is a movie I hold near and dear to my heart, and it is an amazing watch for anyone, any age, anytime. I didn't include every detail of this movie because I want you to go out and watch it for yourselves. As of now, it's on Disney+, but you can buy physical, which you should do. I hope if you do watch the movie for yourself, you have as much fun as I did. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, ding the bell, and all that YouTube stuff. My merch is also down below in the description, along with my other channels. Stay hydrated, everyone.